Have you ever walked a lonely country lane in Ireland as twilight falls? Did you feel a sudden chill, a sense that you were not entirely alone? Many will tell you it is just the wind sighing through the hawthorn trees. But the old folk, those with wisdom in their eyes, know better. They know the veil between our world and the other world is at its thinnest in such moments. What if the tales of mythical creatures are not mere stories for children? What if they are echoes of a truth our modern world has forgotten how to see, a world that hums just beneath the surface of our own, waiting for us to listen? These are not the simple fairy tales you might find in a brightly colored book. The creatures of Irish lore are far more complex, more ancient and more deeply woven into the very soul of the land. They are beings of immense power, sometimes benevolent, often mischievous, and occasionally downright terrifying. To dismiss them as simple superstition is to ignore the deep well of cultural memory from which they spring. These stories were born from the earth itself, from the mists that cling to the bogs and the strange shapes of the ancient stones that dot the landscape. They are a map to understanding the heart of the Irish people. Imagine a time before electric lights pushed back the darkness, a time when the night was vast and full of unknown sounds. In this world, every creak of a floorboard, every rustle in the bushes held a deeper meaning. The stories of mythical creatures were not just entertainment. They were a way of making sense of a world that was often unpredictable and frightening. They gave a name to the unexplained, a reason for a sudden illness, or a warning against straying too far from the safety of the hearth. These were not just tales, they were tools for survival, passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. The belief in this unseen world gave people a framework for their lives. It provided rules to live by and explanations for the mysteries of nature. Why must one never disturb a fairy fort? Because to do so would invite the wrath of the seedy, the fairy folk, and bring bad luck upon your family. Why should you leave a little milk out at night, as an offering to appease the spirits that might share your home? These were not just idle fancies, they were a living, breathing part of daily existence, a constant negotiation with the powerful forces that were believed to shape the world around them. Among the most famous of these beings is the Banshee, the wailing woman of the fairy folk. Her name, in the old tongue, means woman of the fairy mound. She is not a creature of outright malice, but a harbinger of sorrow, a messenger from the other world. Her cry, a mournful and soul-shattering sound known as a cowin, is said to drift on the night air, foretelling a death in one of the ancient Irish families. To hear her is to know that a loved one is about to pass from this world into the next. She is a powerful symbol of grief and the unbreakable bond of family, even across the threshold of death. Then, there is the puka, a creature of a very different nature. The puka is a master shapeshifter, a trickster spirit who delights in causing mischief and chaos. It can appear as a handsome black horse, offering a ride to a weary traveler, only to lead them on a wild and terrifying journey through bogs and briars. It might take the form of a goat or a goblin, toppling fences and souring the milk. The puka represents the wild, untamed side of nature, a reminder that the world is not always as orderly as we would like it to be. He is a warning against arrogance and a lesson in humility, often playing his tricks on those who are boastful or greedy. These creatures were more than just characters in a story, they were embodiments of powerful human emotions and experiences. The Banshee gave a voice to the profound and often silent experience of grief, making it a shared communal event. Her cry was a signal to the community that a family was in need of support. The puka, on the other hand, personified the unpredictable nature of luck and the capriciousness of the natural world. He was the reason for a sudden misfortune, a way to explain the unexplainable without resorting to blaming oneself or one's neighbors, preserving the peace of a small community. Each creature held a specific place in the intricate tapestry of Irish belief. There was the leprechaun, the solitary fairy shoemaker, a symbol of hidden wealth and the foolishness of greed. There was the Merrow, the mermaid of Irish lore, who represented the dangerous allure and hidden treasures of the sea. These beings were not distant gods but intimate parts of the landscape and the human experience. Their stories were a language used to talk about life's greatest joys, its deepest sorrows, and its most baffling mysteries, making the world feel a little less random and a lot more magical. How did these profound and vital stories survive for so many centuries? They were not carved in stone or written in grand books for the wealthy. They lived and breathed in the spoken word, passed from one generation to the next around the flickering light of a peat fire. This is the power of oral tradition. A storyteller, or shanchai, was a revered figure in every community, a living library of folklore, history, and genealogy. They held the collective memory of their people, and with each telling, the stories were refreshed, taking on new life while holding on to their ancient core. The act of storytelling was a vital social ritual. It was how communities bonded, how children learned the rules of their world, and how the wisdom of the elders was preserved. In the long, dark winter nights, families and neighbors would gather together, their faces lit by the hearth's glow, and listen. They would hear tales of heroic deeds, of cunning tricksters, and of the solemn warnings of the spirit world. These sessions were not passive entertainment, they were interactive, with listeners asking questions, gasping in surprise, and learning the moral lessons embedded within each narrative. The stories became a part of their own identity. This method of transmission ensured that the myths remained relevant and adaptable. A storyteller could tailor a tale to a specific audience or a recent event, making the ancient feel immediate and personal. A story about a puka might be used to gently warn a specific child about wandering off alone. A tale of the banshee might be told with particular solemnity after a recent passing in the village. This flexibility is why the stories never grew stale. They were not dusty relics but living, evolving narratives that spoke directly to the hopes, fears, and daily realities of the people who told and heard them. Without this unbroken chain of voices, these rich cultural treasures would have faded into the mists of time. Each person who listened to a story and then told it to their own children became a guardian of that tradition. They were preserving more than just a tale. They were passing on a way of seeing the world, a cultural code that explained everything from social etiquette to the changing of the seasons. The power of these myths lies not just in their content, but in the millions of human connections forged through the simple, profound act of sharing a story. Even in our modern scientific age, the allure of these Irish myths has not faded. In fact, their magic seems to have spread far beyond the shores of the Emerald Isle, captivating people all over the world. Why do these ancient tales of fairies, spirits, and monsters continue to enchant us? Perhaps it is because they speak to a deep primal part of the human spirit that yearns for mystery and wonders if there is more to the world than what we can see and measure. They offer an escape from the mundane, a doorway into a world where the impossible is possible. These stories provide a powerful connection to a specific culture and identity. For the Irish diaspora spread across the globe, these myths are a link to their heritage, a way to connect with the land of their ancestors. Telling the stories of the banshee or the leprechaun is a way of saying, this is where we come from, this is part of who we are. The folklore acts as a cultural anchor, providing a sense of belonging and a shared history that transcends geographical distance. It is a testament to the idea that a culture's soul is carried in its stories. Furthermore, the universal themes within these tales resonate with people from all walks of life. The struggle between good and evil, the pain of loss, the consequences of greed, and the unpredictable nature of fate are all central to Irish mythology. These are not just Irish themes, they are human themes. A story about a hero outsmarting a cunning fairy is a story about intelligence triumphing over a powerful obstacle, a lesson that everyone can understand and appreciate. This timeless relevance is what gives the myths their incredible staying power. The whispers of the city are not silent. They echo in literature, in film, and in the hearts of those who still feel a thrill when they hear a strange noise in the night. What are your favorite tales from the old country? Is there a creature that has captured your imagination? Share your stories, for in the sharing they continue to live. And perhaps soon, we shall journey together to explore the mythologies of other lands, to see what wonders and warnings they hold for us. The world is full of such magic, if only we take the time to listen.